Hi, welcome to Wine and Food and Two Riders. Today we're going to go over a pretty straightforward topic, and it's how to open a bottle of wine. And I've got 3 different bottles here. I've got a lot of different ways to get into them. Everything from Swiss Army knife, cheap giveaway corkscrew that you might get at some event where they're giving away promotional items. Here's a spoiler. Throw that one out. What's called a wine key, or sometimes a waiter's corkscrew. They typically fold up nice and small like this. They'll fit into a pocket. They've got a 2-stage levered stepping system here. You've got a little knife for cutting off the foil. And they typically have a corkscrew that, on the newer ones, this is going to be Teflon coated, and we'll cover that in a minute. This is a sort of a cheap version of the same thing. It's a much thicker screw. It's chrome coated. We'll get all into that in just a minute, and I'm going to move the camera around a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Stay tuned. Also, if you like the video, please hit like and consider subscribing. There's going to be a big series of wine-related videos coming out throughout this summer. Thanks, and stay tuned. We'll be right back. So, thanks for tuning in, and today we're going to go over how to open a bottle of wine. If you watched the last video, we already did a video on how to open a champagne bottle, or a traditional champagne style bottle of wine that's under a lot of pressure. Today we're working with still wine. Still wine is wine that doesn't have any carbonation, and it's what most people think of when they think of wine. So, as the wine has traveled the world, this from California, this from Italy, this from California, it's been in a glass bottle to protect it. And it's had something stopping it up here. Usually, we'll call it a cork. It might not be made out of cork from a cork tree. It might be made of, well, it could be cork that's sort of chopped and put together and glued together, like Orient and strand board that's used in construction in place of solid wood. Here I have a closure that, this was from a bottle of Spanish wine, and interestingly, if you can see it, this was made in Austria, and it reads that it's made from sugarcane biopolymers. So even though the wine came from an area of Spain that, yeah, it's not focusing, there you go. An area of Spain that grows a lot of natural cork trees, the maker of that particular wine decided to go with an Austrian-made food bio product that is kind of different from sugarcane rather than cork. So today, we're looking at this. How do you get into this thing? You know that you're gone somewhere, somebody says, hey, open the wine, would you please? You might be taking a bottle of wine to somebody for dinner, for a party, for whatever, just lunch, and they ask you to open it. If you're not that familiar with it, you might be a little hesitant to ask for help. Most of these have a capsule around the top. This, in the old days, would have been called a foil because it was made of foil. Sometimes today it's made of plastic. You have a screw that's going to go down through the cork, and then you need to pull that screw and the cork out at the same time. The idea is you want to make your life simple. So here's your handy dandy Swiss Army knife. This doesn't give you any leverage, and you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. If that cork requires 25 pounds of force to pull it out, it's all got to just come out of your arms. It's going to be difficult. So this is handy, and it's great. If you want to open a can, use a small screwdriver. It's great for that. Bigger screwdriver, open a bottle top, but it's not great for opening wine. This is a little tchotchke that is given away at trade shows. This came from a local newspaper. Again, you got an adequate screw that's going to go down there, but then you got no leverage. And this thing's made out of kind of cheap plastic. It's not going to work that well. You saw that one, you saw this one. They're both chrome plated. And that is to do a couple of things. It's so that the screw won't rust on you if you put it away wet, and that it gives a little bit more lubrication going into the cork. all things considered. This one is chromed. This is a kind of a cheap wine key. Comes out of Korea. Not as bad as the stuff coming out of China, that's for sure. Your better wine keys like these are probably going to come out of Spain or Italy. Either one of these would cost you maybe $8, $10 at a grocery store. I use both of them. They both work great. This is a little less traditional looking, so I'm going to open it with this one. First thing you want to do is take that capsule off. So you've got a little knife here that has some serrations on it. It's a little bit rough, kind of teeth. I'm right-handed. I use my left hand for holding the bottle. If you have a different challenge, if for some reason you're not be able to use one of your hands, you could put this between your legs and spin it. But what I do is you just press the cutting edge against the bottle. The bottle has a little lip here. And with your thumb on the other side, you turn it with a little bit of pressure. Hey, off comes the foil cap. Now you can get to the cork. This, if you look at it, is kind of jumbly looking. It's a chopped and processed cork. The reasons behind that we'll go to another time. So, most people, if they haven't done this more than a dozen or 2 dozen times, are going to put the center of that corkscrew right in the center of that cork. But that is going to throw you, if you look at it, that throws you off. What you want to do is take an imaginary little pin that would come down through the middle of that little screw action there. So you'd actually offset this by a little bit. Press it into the cork. Guide it while you turn it a few times. And you notice there's some resistance. You can hear some squealing and squalling. But not much, because this is Teflon coated. It goes in really nice. And you want to take it all the way down. If you don't go down far enough, you increase your resistance in trying to lever this thing out. And you don't need any extra hassle when you're trying to open your wine. Tip this up, put this on the first of 2 legs, and then just hold that in place and gently lift. Comes up really nice and easy. Lift it up to the second one. Boom, out it goes. And here's what I'm talking about. A natural cork would have like growth veins on it and things like that, and be much smoother looking. This looks kind of chopped up, but that's fine. Now you've got the cork out. Congratulations, you did the job. I'm using a typical tulip-shaped wine glass. What this does is allows you to look at the wine and allows you to move it around a little bit. As far as picking it up and swirling it in the air, easy thing to do. Put it on a tabletop, swirl it around. That releases aromas, and when you put your nose in there, you can inhale. And this smells a little bit of oak, because it wasn't in an oak barrel, it was in a stainless barrel with a bag of oak chips in it. Kind of like mulch, actually. And pick up a little bit of apple, maybe a little bit of pear. And that's a pretty good bottle of wine. It's from TJ's, a national chain out of California. You can see the name on it. I'm not being paid by them to promote it, but they offer good wines for the money, for the most part. So that was corkscrew number 1. Like I say, it's called either a wine key, a waiter's corkscrew. You can find these in Kroger's on the East Coast, and Food Lions. You can find them sort of at Walmart. If you can, look for one that's made in Italy or Spain. If you pick one up made in China, it's not gonna last you very long, and it's going to give you more resistance, and it's going to be you're going to say, wow, opening that kind of wine's a pain in the butt. It's really not. This I've had for a long time. Instead of you using much hand strength, I'm trying to see the country manufacturer. Yeah, actually, this goes against the grain of what I'm saying. This was actually made in China, but this is a much more expensive corkscrew operation. It even has replacement screw in here. Instead of using the little knife that's on the wine key, this has two little blades here on the inside of this guy, and you just set that on top. You don't have to worry about that little knife slipping off. You set that over the capsule and you give it a twist. Zippity zobbity boop, out it comes. Nice and clean. Now this, we'll see when we get it out. On this one, you put they say it looks like a little rabbit. Looks like rabbit ears. Yeah. Put the rabbit ears over, squeeze them shut after having raised it all the way up, and you lower it down. Pretty easy. When you raise it up, nice. A lot of leverage, comes right up. This is Italian wine, and hey, surprise, surprise. Oh, by the way, squeeze it again, let it down, raise it back up, and out pops the cork. Piece of cake. So, similar to the Spanish wine that I showed you before. This comes from the same German retailer that's set up in the US. Hey, we're looking at an Austrian cork again, so truly a world economy. Austrian cork in a Spanish bottle Chianti. This other cork that I'd showed you was in a bottle of Spanish red. This is Italian red. Chianti 2022, relatively new. Chianti Reserva. Pretty much typical color. Kind of a brick red. Swirl it around. Nice. Now, moving on. One more very common bottle and closure, and that is the Stealth Enclosure. It's a screw cap. Again, I'm right-handed. I'd normally hold it in my right hand. If you have any grip issues, hand strength issues, arthritis, anything like that, you might grab one of these rubberized jar openers. Gives you a tighter grip on it. This is pretty straightforward though. No carbonation, so you don't have to worry about pointing it. Just grab it, twist it, counterclockwise, opens up. This has a little insert inside that once you reclose it, that's going to keep air from going in, and air is the culprit that's going to make wine not keep real long after it's been opened. Air is about 20-something% oxygen, about 70-some% nitrogen. If you wanted to keep this for a week and you're down to half a bottle, you can buy canned nitrogen. Looks like a duster that you might use on your computer keyboard. You just shoot a little nitrogen down there. It puts a blanket over it, keeps the oxygen off, and that way the wine does not get, it doesn't get stale. Oxidation is what will kill your wine. Two ways to keep it from happening is to put a cork in it and also refrigerate it or cool it down. Even with the red wine, you might not want to drink it cold, but you put it in the refrigerator, come back at the end of the week, it's still going to be perfectly good because the air has been kept away from it, and oxidation occurs more quickly at higher temperatures. So if it's in a 40-some degree refrigerator, it's not going to oxidize very much. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to pour a little of this. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. Please hit like, and hey, any comments at all or any questions, put it in the comment section. I try to read them all. Happy to answer questions, and if you have suggestions for other topics that you'd like to have gone over, wine, food, whatever, let me know. Always want to get some feedback from the audience. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.